This is going to be a quick video on flow control. And by flow control, basically I'm just referring to the if statement. So I say if statement, but it's like a if block. And we're going to start by just making a variable. So dim x, and we'll say x equals 5. So the way if works is you have this structure where you have if a condition equals true, then do this. Else, and you could do a else if condition 2 equals true, then do this. And you could have as many else ifs as you want. We'll say condition 3 equals true, then do this. And if you want to check to see if none of these other conditions were true and then do something, you could just have else. And this else part will execute if none of the previous conditions were true. It would do this. And then end if to end your if block. So to put that in practice, we're going to just like our condition is going to be if x equals 3, then print x is 3, and we will say if x equals 4, then print x is 4. And you can have as many or as few else ifs as you want. So I'm just going to have one else if and then one else. And this else will say print x is not any of the above. So by looking at this, and we know that x is 5, if we get here, x is not equal to 3, so it won't do this, and it'll go to this one. And x is not equal to 4, so it won't do this, and it'll just go to the else. And it should just print x is not any of the above. So let's compile that and run it, and we get x is not any of the above. And we can just change the value of x to 4, and now we get x is 4. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. One thing you need to make sure of with ifs is that it's like your first the start of your if is just going to be an if, and then you're going to have your condition, and you need to make sure you have your then keyword after at the end of each line of ifs, and each line of else ifs has to end with then. The else is just on a line by itself, and then you pick what codes you want to execute, and it can be more than one line. Like you could have as much code in here as you want between each of these conditions. And that's pretty much it for if. We are going to play around with just one more example real quick to show a functional use of it. So we'll just ask a question. So I'm going to use print for this. So print What is 2 plus 2? And then I will print A is 1, print B is 3, and print C is 4. Get rid, and then instead of having X be a number, X is going to be a string now. And we'll say X equals input, and you can call input, like I mentioned in the previous tutorial, since it's a string function, you can call it with or without the $sign. For now, I'm just going to put the $sign in there. Just so that we know that this is a string, but it doesn't matter if you have it or not. And enter your choice, and that'll be our prompt. And since X is now a string, we have to check to see if it's a string value we want to compare it to. So say if X equals A, then print you are wrong. If X is B, print you are really wrong, although you're probably more right with this than the previous one, but whatever. And then we'll have another else if here, X equals C, then, and you know what, I'm making these capital, but we're going to make it lowercase for now, just so that we don't have to have a caps lock on when we're answering. And we're going to say if X is equal to C, print you are correct. And then else, if they didn't input A, B, or C, then we'll just print you did not pick a option available option. Right. So now let's try that. Compile it and run it. And so if we enter A, it's going to say you're wrong. And let's run it again. And let's enter B, you are really wrong. And now let's try it with C, you are correct. And that's basically it for how ifs work. Feel free to play around with this, ask some questions in the forum about it. And in the next video, I'm going to be going a little bit more over some conditions and stuff with the ifs. But that's it for this. I'll see you in the next video.